Big reptile talk. Yeah, we working. Talk about serving. Big reptile talk. When it comes to talking about snakes, yeah, love that we got for them effects. Yeah, big reptile talk. Let's talk about reptiles. Yeah, big reptile talk. Let's talk about reptiles.
Yo, welcome to the podcast. This is Big Reptile Talk. As always, I appreciate the early comers coming in, showing love. Ashley Barnes, good to see you. Moon over Miami, I love that you're here. Thank you for showing up. Live feed ASMR. Joseway Exotics, man, long time no see. Love to see you showing up. All the early birds, I appreciate y'all showing up in the chat. Today's going to be a fun one. As always, Mako Morph, what is up, my guy? Big Tim, what's going on? As always, this is a podcast where we bring people that are in the hobby. We chat with them, see what they're doing. We learn, we learn and we have fun. This is a reptile podcast, but I could bring anybody up. It just varies. Today is going to be a show about ball pythons. I am a snake guy. I love snakes, and this father-son duo is absolutely crushing it. What is up, Guapa, man? I love to see you in the chat. Let me repeat that. This father and son duo is absolutely crushing it. I believe they caught my attention. I seen them on Justin Kabelka's story. I don't remember if he shouted them out or if he showed a snake, but he gave them a little bit of love, and it just made me go look at their page, and they have some absolute firepower. So let's bring them on. Elite Exotics, what is going on? Good to see you in the building. Let's bring them on, just talk ball pythons and see what they got going on. How you gentlemen doing?
How's it going?
Good. Yourself?
We're good.
Not too bad. Love to have you here, man. Now let's go ahead and jump right into it, man. The name is creative. How did you come up with that name, Mazzotta Morphs?
Well, Mazzotta is our last name, and it's a family business. And just to touch base on that, it's just not a father-son duo. I have four boys. I mean, we have collective, I guess family structure, and everybody's into it. And I have a business partner. My wife's involved heavily, so it takes a lot of hands, you know what I mean, to get our work done. We built up a nice collection over a few years. I have a business partner, and that's who you saw on Justin Kabelka's site, or on his podcast, or what it was. And we picked up a few new snakes. We picked up the Pompeii, and we picked up the Desert Ghost that my business partner was holding. So it's a big collaboration. It's a big deal. We're small as far as breeders go, but we're trying to jump the ranks, as quick as we can, as clean as we can. We want to fly under the radar, and just keep our nose to the grind, and it's work.
I love that. I need y'all to understand what he just said. He picked up some firepower from Kabelka. That is insane. I love to see what you guys are doing. And I got a couple questions for both of you, but real quick. So how long have you guys been breeding? Give me the time that you've been breeding.
Well, I guess I don't want to overtalk Luciano. When he was in school, probably was it 5 years ago, 6 years ago, he took some genetics courses, and that kind of got the ball rolling for us. Now, I've had ball pythons a while back. I started out years ago with some corn snakes. So I've dabbled in snakes a little bit, not any breeding. And then, when he went to school and got into the genetics side of it, we just started tapping into the ball python, industry. And once we went to a couple of shows, we saw how it worked, and, it just piqued our interest. He was in it from, the jump, as far as, all the recessive genes. He understood it right away. It took me a little longer. It's work, but I mean, that's how we got started. He went to school. He said, let's buy a snake. We bought 4, went to a couple of shows, saw people breeding. I said, we can do this. I see how everybody out there doing it. We can do it. And, we started out as a hobby, and then, we had to cross that threshold at some point to turn it into a business. But we never want to lose the hobby side of it. And, and this is Luciano, by the way. I'm sorry, I should have introduced ourselves. I'm Vinny. this is Luciano Mazzotta. I have another son, Giovanni, another son, Donato. You know, they're all involved. You know, my business partner that was on, you know, Kabilka's site, everyone's involved. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of the gist of it. That's how we got started.
So pretty much he went to school. He ended up getting a couple snakes. You're like, okay, I want to do this full time.
Yeah, and what really caught my eye about it is I've watched a few of your episodes of the podcast, and I know you're a big advocate for education, not only with reptiles, but as a whole. And I was taking an AP biology class in high school. It was my first glimpse into what was called Mendelian genetics, which is how we look at ball python genetics today. And it was taught by a man named Gregor Mendel, who was a very popular monk, and he worked with bean plants. And he came up with the terms dominant, recessive, and co-dominant, a lot of the genetic phrases we use in ball pythons. So I just took AP Bio, and I was looking into the reptile market, and I saw that all of the things I'd learned in this class were completely replicated with ball pythons. And I talked to my dad about it, and we were both really excited. And my mind was racing with all the combinations, because instead of short and tall bean plants, I could make tons of different colors and patterns and combinations. And it really just consumed us. And again, we went in to get one snake. We ended up with 4, and then 8, and then 12, and now we can't count anymore. It's just consumed us, really. And I feel like that's how a lot of people are in the snakes.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Before we keep going, I want to shout out Morbid Balls in the building. I love seeing you in here. And I want to show you this comment. I'm going to ask you, how does this make you guys feel? Mac on Morph said, Mazzotta has fire animals, and they aren't too far away from me.
Nice.
We really appreciate it.
Nice.
Shout out to my animal house. I appreciate that super chat. Thank you so much. So real quick, I want to have a little fun, and this is for both of you guys, and then we'll keep going. Hot seat question. We love everybody, but currently right now, who is each of you guys' favorite breeder in the hobby? You can only pick one.
Whew.
Well, I mean, again, since for 5 years, I've been looking into YouTube videos and checking out different content creators. And it's just been a juggle for me, because I've gone between a few different breeders. So it's really hard for me to put my name on one. But I think one person who's been just consistently on top of the game and a leader of the market is Justin Kabilka. So whether it's JKR or Canova, I mean, he's always been a big inspiration for me, and it's been a pleasure being able to get some animals from him after looking up for him for years.
Right. Okay, so we got Canova on this side, and what about you?
That's tough. That is a hot seat question, man. That's tough. There's so many people I look up to for inspiration and education, you know, and you know, that's tough, man. But I mean, you got to go with JKR. I think he's the GOAT in the industry. I mean, there's so many top level breeders out there, and we could sit here and name 20 of them that we lean on. We look at YouTube or Instagram content or whatever, but you know, JKR is the guy.
Right. I love that. Are y'all members of his Patreon?
No, actually we're not.
I want to be, because you know, on his top tier, on the top tier of his Patreon, you know, he flies those people fly out and go visit his facility. I think once or twice every couple like every maybe every 4 or 5 months they go visit his facility. Wouldn't that be something to visit that facility? That's the king. That's the cream of the crop right there.
Yeah,
absolutely. The best genes in the market at the moment. That'd be amazing. Yeah.
But like I said, when he aired that show and gave us a shout out, my business partner was down there. That was 2 weeks ago. So
I love that. I love that. Now, give us a sneak peek. You know, that's what we're here for. We want to know currently what is Mazzotta Morphs working on. Give us a current projects.
Man. I don't know if I can really give up that kind of information. Man, that's tough, bud. That's tough. You know, I don't know. I mean, we got some bangers. All I can say is, you know, we did get some other animals from, you know, JKR a while back. So we have a clutch in the incubator now that all could be, I mean, honestly, they could be potential world first, every single animal.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Every single animal world's first. Do y'all understand that Mazzotta Morphs, they are heavyweights. They need to be watched right now, okay?
We want to be under the radar, so don't shout out too much. I mean, we want to fly low.
Now I'm gonna show you some of my favorite snakes. So of course, like I said, once I seen you on Kabilka's page, I went and I looked. Some of my favorite snakes that you produce. I love this one right here. Talk about this snake right here.
Well, so this is a snake that we had produced in-house, and this came from one of our clown clutches, as you can see there. And this is one of our first looks into what clown can really do, and we were just blown away by what we were blown away by just the amount of pattern that could be produced from the genes we put in that. And yeah, that was kind of our first dose into that game.
I love that. I love that. Now, this was another one of my favorite ones. I want to say this is Bamboo. I can't remember what the other one. I want to say Bamboo Batman, I think. But it's gorgeous snake. Just talk about the snake. How did it feel producing such a beautiful snake?
I mean, to be honest with you, I think every snake we produce is beautiful. I mean, we're in it. I mean, it is a business for us, but it's definitely a hobby and it's a passion, a love, man. Because if you take all the time you have involved in it, you know, it sometimes it doesn't equal the value, you know, of some of these snakes. I mean, you got a lot of time and effort and love put into breeding these snakes if you're in it for the right reasons, and I believe we are. So, I mean, that was a fire clutch for us. The whole clutch was nice.
Insane. Yeah. Shout out to Iron Dog. I see you coming in the chat. Hey, Kara Shay. Hey, Guapa Man, everybody. We got a big dog in the building. What's up, Mike's Monitors, man? I love Mike. Good guy. Y'all make sure to go check out Mike's Monitors. We got Elite Exotics in the building. Everybody's showing up. I love that y'all are here. Now, you know, we couldn't get a sneak peek. So we'll switch up the question. So it's kind of like a double part question. Either one of you can answer. I'll give you like a two-part question. What is each of you guys' favorite morph? And the second part of this question is, so Mazzotta morphs, what is the morph that you want to be known for? So, like, if you think about Ozzy, when you think of Ozzy, you instantly think of Orange Dream. When you think of JKR, you think of Batman and all the other stuff that he's produced. So, two-part question, both of you can answer. What is your favorite morph, and what do you want Mazzotta morphs? What is the morph that you ultimately want your company to be known for?
So I can take the reins on this question first. I think that, in my opinion, right, my favorite morph, as strange as it's going to sound, it's always been really just amazing to me. That my first ever snake was a purple passion, and I was really amazed by a ball python being purple. And not a lot of people talk about purple passion as a complex and the genetic combination, but using purple passion, I would really love to see some purple passion recessives out there. And it's something that I've been working on, not so much as a monetary thing because they're not exactly the most desirable snakes for whatever reason, but it's definitely a passion of mine. And one of my favorite things is seeing baby ball pythons just express the most bright colors, and not bright, but just beautiful colors. And what is more beautiful than purple in a snake? It's very, very rare in the animal kingdom as a whole, but let alone when you talk reptiles, purple is out of the question. So for me, I would say purple passion, just the mix between the two genes, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
I guess if I had to pick a morph, you know, I would say, you know, it's hard to be cutting edge because there's so many great breeders out there, and they'll pick a lane and then they have superstar pairings out of those lanes. So it's tough to be in every lane. It's tough, man. But, you know, I always loved clown from the jump, and I followed JKR. So I've been on that Batman, and I always feel like everybody's chasing. You know, you have big breeders out there, and then they come out with the next new thing, and then you're chasing. Everybody's trying to get the combinations, the parts, the pieces to make that. I'm okay doing that. I would say the Batman combination, that morph is by far my favorite. That clutch that we have in the incubator, just to give you a little sneak peek, the female that laid 10 eggs is she's pinstripe hurricane Batman. So yeah.
That's the way. Those multi-gene animals, though, that is the wave. I love it. I love what you guys are doing. Shout out to Elite Exotics. He said his favorite is Exantic Zebra. Eric B, I see you. Much love. Thank you for coming into the chat. Now, you know, you've been breeding for some years now. Do you feel like you had a mentor, or do you feel like you're self-taught?
So I think we're in a bit of an interesting place because we came into the ball python industry not as founders and not as people who've never heard of it, but we came into the middle of it, right? When all of these big breeders were already established, their names already out there, and we didn't really have anyone to hold our hands and give us the reins. So we kind of took it upon ourselves to just look into these beautiful deposits of information you can find on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. Got a part of a few different breeding groups and different channels, and we kind of use the collective knowledge of the ball python hobby as our tutor, and through many sources, right? It's hard to name one because, again, we kind of had our hand in the entire ball python pot, not just a specific breeder. So it's just really the whole industry has mentored us to the point we're at now, and we hope to be able to, in the future, reflect that knowledge with some of the things we help people with and we teach.
I love that. Heavy, heavy, heavy. I love that. Now, you guys have been breeding, for, like I said, for a couple of years now. And I want people to be able to come here and leave with something. We're going to have fun, but I still want people to learn. So what do you know, for people wanting to follow in your footsteps, what's the best new breeder advice you can give somebody out there? Somebody wanting to get into that's never bred before and they want to do what you guys are doing.
Oh boy, I think the best advice you could give somebody just getting into it is to do your homework, do your research, lean on all the free social media, that you can, the Instagram, the YouTube, and you're going to get a million different opinions, and you have to form your own eventually. That's anything in life, but the more educated you are on a situation, the better decision you're going to make. Be smart with your money. And I would always buy females first. That's the thing. Everybody says that, it's repetitive, but it's important. You don't want to be, you don't want to be male heavy, and then, you're having to feed and maintain and care for males until females get to maturity. So if you're new, learn the genes, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. There's certain platforms where you can get annihilated for saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing or using the wrong buzzword. I mean, you have to be into it for the love of it and the hobby, and if you do it right and you do it long enough, there might be some money there.
And if I was able to offer a piece of advice to new breeders, I would have to say that there's just so much to breeding ball pythons or any other reptile, because with reptiles, you have a very complicated husbandry. As much as we dumb it down and we seem to understand it as breeders today, for people getting into the hobby, it's very, very different than handling any other mammal. Right? Because there's so much more that goes into it as far as humidity, correct temperatures, correct sizing of meal. It's much more labor intensive than other animals. So I think the best breeder advice I could give somebody is, again, doing your homework, but also give yourself room to fail. Because it's okay if your first clutch fails, and you're not a failure if your clutch goes under, or your snakes won't breed, or you have a snake go off food, or you contracted some disease from a show. It's all okay. And there's a lot more that goes into snakes than what we put off. There's failures, there's successes, and you have to be prepared for both.
I love that. Just great information right there. Like you said, I couldn't agree more. Slugs are a part of the game. They're going to happen. It's a learning experience. And he hit it right on the head. When you get into the game, get those powerhouse females first. You can get the males afterwards. Just focus on those right projects, man. You guys have so much knowledge. I love it. Now I want to have a little fun. I had Always Evolving Pythons on the podcast. Shout out to AEP. Big dog in the game. He's selling a lot of celebrity snakes. He sold Ozzy Osbourne snakes, the FaZe, the FaZe Clan. He sold celebrity football players snakes. So my question is for each of you is, if you could sell any celebrity a snake, who would it be? And each of you can answer.
I gotta answer this because this is really easy for me, right? So I don't know if you can tell by the hair, right? But I love heavy metal music, and my dad has raised me my whole life listening to heavy metal. So if I could give a snake to any person, it'd be Bruce Dickinson, the main singer of Iron Maiden, and I'd give him the best snake in the room.
All right, so I like that. Shout out to Iron Maiden. I love that. We need more celebrities with snakes. I think that would kind of help us. We're fighting all these laws. Shout out to USARC. Make sure you support USARC. Anything that you do good is going to benefit our hobby, and we need that. So we need more celebrities with snakes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get the name out there.
Yeah,
I love that. Now, Donut Boy said amazing questions. I appreciate that. Shout out to BPL. Y'all make sure y'all go show Ball Python some love. We got a lot of people coming into the chat, man. I love that. Now, keeping up with people, just, learning. I want people to learn from you. So what do you think is, first off, let me shout out somebody. I shout out Brian from Samson's Samsonitorium. I can't remember his channel, but
Yeah.
he has like a breeder graveyard, the people that came and they've gone. And I say that to say, what do you think are some of the newer mistakes that breeders make for it to be the reason that they were there yesterday and today they're not here?
Oh boy. I mean, there's probably a lot of variables to that, but I mean, I guess jumping into a project too quick and not seeing it through, people overspend, people underevaluate their time. Time's a big thing. A lot of people when they try to make this a business, they calculate their food, the cost of the animals, but it's the upkeep. And it's your time. A lot of people evaluate their time, and it can zap your time. If you're not doing it full time, which a lot of people don't, they do it on the side or as a hobby or hobby/business. Your time's valuable. So if you underestimate your time, you can't be slacking because your animals need your full attention. You owe them that.
And I think another big part of it is also, like he's talking about the individual breeders and the mistakes that they can make. I think also as a global market of the reptile trade, exotic animal trade, or ball python trade, it's important to realize that the bottom isn't going to fall out every year. And it's a saying you hear just about every single year that the ball python market's going to fall or the ball python market's going to go away. And you heard it back when the genes originally came out, that there was no more ball pythons and there's no more you can do with pied or albino. But every single year, we just continue to expand, continue to blow up these amazing genetic combinations. And I think that's the reason that the ball python has just overtaken every other reptile as far as combinations and genes and breeding, is because there's so many amazing things you can do with it. And I think that's what gives it its longevity, is the amount of genes we create and come up with on a daily basis, and also the combinations that go under the radar for years.
I agree. I couldn't agree with you more, man. Now, you've been doing this for a while. Who's teaching who what? When the new school, they ultrasound. But now, did y'all start off palpating? Did the son have to teach the dad how to use the ultrasound or palpate, or did the dad have to teach the son how to ultrasound and palpate?
Well, let's pump the brakes there. I think you're trying to start something.
Let me move my chair over a bit here.
In all honesty, we have similar thought processes on a lot of things and different on some others. And we learn from each other. We really do. And in the very first year, getting into it as a hobby, I never thought about an ultrasound. Year two, I said, we need an ultrasound. I mean, you can palpate and you have to be good at that craft, but one miss could cost you, and I think if you make the plunge, you buy the ultrasound, it's a crucial tool. Once we had it, there was no turning back. We'll never be without one because, when you're breeding and you're trying to get your groups tight and, every penny counts. I mean, you want to make sure that you maximize your females and minimize your males. You don't want to be sending them in there for extra breedings when it's not necessary.
I agree. I definitely agree. So from that answer, I'm gonna assume the son taught the dad how to palpate an ultrasound.
So honestly, right, I do like to pick fun because that's part of the family. It's a lot more than just snakes. We do like to poke fun at each other, but it has been both a learning experience for each of us. I have a pretty strong biology background, and I'm getting close to finishing my bachelor's in biology. And I've worked with a few different types of machinery and lab equipment. So I'm a bit better experienced when it comes to different scientific measures in ball pythons. But my dad's a much harder worker than I am, and he can do a lot more with his hands than I could ever do. So together, we're able to piece together these problems. But in no way does his ability to work with his hands make him a dummy, or does my ability to work with a microscope make me a smart person. Because intelligence is far more than a craft.
I love it, man. Shout out to Mike's monitors. He said I'm with the old guy.
Is that me?
Guape, I see you. Love you, man. Much love, Guape. Fries Critters. Good day from Australia. And Mike said, congratulations, young man. He loves what you're doing. Now, I got to ask, like I said, what attracted me to your page, because like I said, there's so many breeders to get familiar with. But, I'm scrolling. I watched Justin Cabelka's story, and I see him talking about your business. So my question to you is, for each of you guys, how did that make you feel seeing one of the kings of ball pythons shouting you out and just giving you kudos? How did that make you feel?
Well, I think I can speak for both of us when I say it was just a tremendous feeling of validation and also just success, because it's really hard to notice success whenever you're continuing to build, right? There's never a moment where, if you're in a business or a hobby, where you can sit back and say, wow, we're doing something really good. You kind of just have to keep going, and you don't notice success until it's in the rear view. But for Justin Cabelka to go up there and tell the entire audience he has what breeders we are and what we have to offer, and to offer such a shout out, it really just it felt amazing. It was just a huge validation for the work that we put in.
Right. I love that. I would say, if I see myself on Cabelka's Instagram, that's 100,000 people. Mama, we made it.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. Now.
You have to take that second of validation, then you get right back to work. It doesn't change anything. It just lets you know you're doing something right. Right.
What's up, Gary? Everybody showing up. Mike's monitor said Mazzotta, couple nice Irish guys.
Yeah. solid Irish. Yeah.
I appreciate everybody showing up. Shout out to Elite Exotics. Now, I want to talk about Cabelka, because he's been putting out a couple things, and I wanted to get you guys' take on it, and then we'll keep going with the podcast. So Let me show you this picture. I'm not a breeder, so give me your take from a breeder's standpoint. On his Instagram, he's put out 3 videos. If you can see, it says ball python recession tip 1, ball python recession tip 2, and he put out a 3rd one, ball python recession tip 3. And he was giving you tips saying, hey, if the market ever hits a downturn, these are tips to keep you afloat in a ball python recession. So my question to you is, with him putting out those videos, have you seen a decline in sales? Not necessarily a decline in sales. Do you feel like, being a breeder, are things different, today than they were a couple months? Like, are you seeing a decline? Are you seeing a recession?
I don't want to say, those words that I'm seeing a recession. Have things slowed down and tightened up? I think on a whole, for everybody, a little bit. Yeah. But you stay the course, you know what I mean? Like, we still have sales. It's not like we don't have sales, things have slowed down, but in years past, it slows down this time of year anyhow because of the shipping window. So maybe a little more this year, but I understand where he's coming from, and those are some helpful tips, but
I don't mean to interrupt you. So it's not really a recession. It's just saying, like, hey, if shit ever gets hard, do these tips and you'll be okay.
Yeah. I agree with that, but I think you should be running a tight ship anyhow. When sales are good, you're a little more reluctant to throw a little bit more money around and try some different pairings that you might not if money wasn't so tight. So.
Right. I love that.
It's also important to say that we haven't personally seen these recession tip videos. So if there is information that we do or don't agree with, we're not sure of that. But we're just saying, like, in a case, if there was a recession, we think of the tight ship analogy. Yeah.
Right. That's pretty much you said, though. You hit it right on the point. You said, and if we ever get tight, focus on the projects that you want and that that your customers are wanting to stay afloat. So you hit it right on the head. I love that. Yeah. I want to have a little fun, and then we'll keep going with the tips. Now, this is a hot seat question. I want to have a little fun.
It's getting really warm in here with all these questions.
When you look at a lot of the bigger breeders, they refer themselves as designer ball python breeders. Ozzy will tell you, I make designer ball pythons, and he'll tell you, I'm Louis Vuitton of ball pythons. And I look at Justin Cabelka. He does the same thing. He makes designer ball pythons, the cream of the crop. And I'll tell anybody, I'll say, oh, he's the Gucci of ball pythons. So a hot seat question is if I come and I shop with Mazzotta Morphs, what store do you guys feel like you're most comparable to?
Probably like Nike. No.
No, nothing wrong with that. Nike's hard. I love Nike.
That was a joke. That was a joke. That's a tough question. Well, I personally don't think that we're in direct league or competition with JKR or Aussie Boys at this second because we're not as established with the history, right? I think that we do have some really powerful genes and we're in the potential to make a supercar or a super fashion line, but we haven't done it yet. And I think that's what's important. So we have to be some premature Lamborghini or some odd Versace, you know? Like we have to be in the pubescent stage of one of these big businesses.
We're nowhere near there. We have to stay humble. We're nowhere near there. We're closer to Walmart than we are.
Wishful thinking.
Yeah. Pre Lamborghini, I love it. I will take that answer. I love it. This is my podcast, so I'll accept that answer. Shout out to Mike's monitors. He said, please say Harley Davidson.
Yeah, my man. Yeah, my man. I was gonna say that. Be honest with you.
Now, like I said, I like my podcast. I like people that are breeders to be able to come here and learn and leave with something. Now, this isn't necessarily about you, but I want you to talk for like newer breeders, and either one of you can answer. Profitability. How many years do you think a new breeder should expect to be in a red before they make a profit? What's a good goal for a newer breeder to be profitable?
See, that's tough because, you know, we had to answer that question ourselves, and I looked at it differently than it's always proposed, just like you proposed it. I think it really comes down to how much money you feel you have to invest before you have to start taking money off the table. So to say that you could be in it 3 years there's a lot of variables there. You know what I mean? Like you can't say 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. When we got into it, we started learning, we started watching all the YouTube videos. These guys, everybody was saying 3 years to turn a profit. Well, you know, we went to our first shows, very inexperienced, didn't know what we were really doing. I was able to acquire some females. We had eggs year one. You know, most people set up their breeding plans. You know, I didn't know what a breeding plan was. You know what I mean? When we first started, we were fascinated by all the genetics, and we've come across some super people in this industry. You know, anytime there's money involved, you always have good and bad. But we have lifelong friends. If we get out of ball pythons tomorrow, we'll have lifelong friends from ball pythons. So to say 1 or 2 or 3 years, I think you're better off setting a value in a ceiling, saying if you want to invest $5,000 and you're going to do it, you know, as a hobby off to the side. You know, once you hit a certain level and you start getting money off the table, you know, it's different for everybody, you know? So, I mean, profitability it's subjective. Right.
Well, that leads into this question. The question I really want you to answer too is being fairly, like you said, you've been doing it a couple of years, being fairly new to breeding ball python. My question to you, how has it been for you and your family running a ball python business? Give me your experience.
Well, I guess I can jump in on this one. And I'd like to say that I've never been so interconnected to my family since we started this business. We have been able to spend so much time together through, I think the thing that is most fun for us as a family to do is to identify the genes that come out of these crazy eggs. Because it's one thing to look at pastels and hypos and this and that. But whenever you're looking at 4 gene combinations, there's a lot of arguments to be had. And me and him will go back and forth for an hour on the same snake, talking about a specific eye stripe or a banding or a pattern or an alien head. It's really nice to be able to not just look at other breeders for help, but to look at a family member for help. And also, it brings a sense of communion whenever you all work towards the same goal and you see the girl we've all wanted to come up to age and she lays her first clutch. It's just as amazing as it is for a regular breeder, and just to share it with the whole family, it's amazing.
I love that. Now, do you guys remember your first sale?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Our very first sale was a single gene pastel. Yep, very first snake we sold.
I love that. That's what's up, man. I love it, man. I love it. Now, let's keep it going just to kind of get before we start, I'm kind of curious, being ball python breeders, have you guys seen Dave Coffin's movie?
You know what? I haven't watched it yet. I've talked to so many friends that have watched it. I just haven't watched it. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm shooting you straight. I just haven't watched it.
Well, tonight I gotta watch that as a family. You know,
Yeah.
the origin of the ball python. Isn't that something? I would have loved to go with him. He went to Africa
Yeah,
and literally searched out ball pythons in the wild. Isn't
yeah.
that amazing?
I've seen clips. I've seen clips of it on YouTube. All my friends have talked about it. I mean, I'll watch it, but I just haven't yet. We're pretty busy, so.
Right, I agree. Definitely a good movie. Now, like I said, we want people to learn. So give us some tips. You know, like we were talking about slugs. You know, it's a part of the business. What are some of the things you guys do to prevent slugs and just get the most out of your clutches?
I don't know if we can actually say definitively that we can get rid of slugs or control that, but I myself believe that the ultrasound, helps you with that because you know the prime time to send a male in with the female to get fertilization. And I think if you're early or you're late, I think that may contribute to slugs. You know what I mean? So, having that tool, knowing it's prime time, and taking advantage of that, and it keeps the extra breedings down, which makes the snakes less stressed and healthier. And I think that all goes hand in hand with no slugs. I mean, we've been pretty fortunate.
Right. I love that.
Very high success rate in hatching and very few. I mean, I don't think we had slugs at all this year.
Yeah.
You hear that? That's big dog stuff right there. We don't have Mazzotta Morphs. We don't have slugs over here.
No, I didn't
do.
say that.
What are slugs? Yeah, we've never heard of it.
I love that. That's how you do. You let everyone know we big dogs. We don't have that shit over here.
But what I will tell you from my experience, what I've seen, the better quality animals that you buy, the better chances you have of producing better quality stuff. And it's not just the coloration; it's the size of the eggs, the size of the babies. I think that's line breeding. You know what I mean? I think that's if you have a good quality animal that's producing a lot of eggs and she produces big babies, I think if you hold those babies back, they're going to produce as well for you. I think it's definitely line breeding and genetics.
Right now, I'm kind of curious. So with y'all being a family ran business, who decides on the holdbacks?
That is something that we often will it's more than that. Well, he will say like we should hold this snake back, and I'll argue with him and say that's not the right move. Like with our current lineup and what we're going towards, this het would be best, or vice versa. But it's more so a collective decision, and that's a big part of Mazzotta Morphs is nobody speaks over any specific person. We all have like an ability to speak our mind and talk about it. And I think that's what makes us so strong as a family unit and a business, because whenever we have these big shifts where we decide to completely change directions, we want to pursue this genetic combination or this double recessive or whatever it might be in whatever example, we make the decision as a family. So when it comes to holdbacks, everybody will pick a snake and we all have to shake it down and argue with each other about it. And odds are we end up holding on to these holdbacks more than we should. And we scrap them later down the road after we have another conversation.
I love it, man. Now, this is more so for me. I'm kind of curious. Y'all, I love this. Y'all give me that real close-knit family vibe. So do y'all ever go herping as a family?
I mean, we try to do everything as a family. We do a lot of outdoor activities. We, anytime we vacation, we all go together, we try to do everything together. So herping, absolutely. We hit reptile shows together. I mean, like I said, anytime we're out in nature, we're together. I mean, we do it. We make sure, and it's just like, it's the same thing like he said about when we do our holdbacks. We do it together. We have discussions and we make decisions together.
And like whenever I was a kid, and I'm the second youngest brother, so I have two brothers who are even older than I am. And anytime we go outside on a hike or a family trip or whatever it was, they as older brothers do, they flip over logs and throw whatever cretin is underneath. So I was always catching snakes, salamanders, frogs, toads, whatever it might be. And it's something we all did together. And when I was a kid, I didn't realize that's truly what herping was, discovery and the wonder of it. And now that I'm older, we just share more memories like that together. And they're often less violent now that we're all grown up too.
I love that, man. I love that. Like I said, y'all give me real close-knit family vibes. I love that. Mike's Monitor said, great show. Got to run. Many blessings. Hey, Mike, I love you, brother. Hey, if y'all need a monitor, Mike's Monitors is producing the most amazing monitors in the game. Y'all go give him a follow. Check him out on Instagram. Great guy, great guy. Now, I want to have a little fun, and then we'll get back into the podcast and talk about snakes. But it's a hot seat question. All of my favorite breeders have a motto. If you look at JKR, his motto is, I believe it's the snakes of today, the snakes of tomorrow today. Balls to You has quality in, quality out. Ozzy Boys, one of his mottos is shut up and breed. So Mazzotta Morphs, what is your company's motto? And if you don't have a motto, I'm going to give you one.
We don't want him coming up with something. We got to go.
Yeah.
Well, where's the timer at? What is that?
I don't know if we have a motto, but I mean, it would definitely have to be something geared towards the youth, because we're firm believers in, if we don't, get the youth involved, we'll be extinct. You know what I mean? Like they're going to keep us going. That's the future. The youth is the future, and we do that with all our sales too. If we do any shows, and there's a child that comes up and is very interested in a ball python, and we know it's for the kid, we generally take very, very good care of the youth. We've given a lot of snakes away, for nothing. I'm multi-gene. Like, it had nothing to do with the value of the snakes. If there was a child that wanted a snake and they came to our room and that's the snake they wanted, we've given it to them. So I think it would have to be something with the youth. The youth is our future, maybe.
And it's something we've always
I believe
stuck
in that.
behind. Like, there is no future of the ball python craze. And I mean, and we always talk about USARC and fighting for ball python rights and just reptile rights as a whole. Who's going to fight for them in 10 years? If you don't put that forward and you don't have youth getting into it, what are people like me going to do in 10 years when I have all these snakes and I can't sell them or I can't breed them or any of these regulations? Like, you need this continuous loop of people fighting and people retiring to make things work in any economy or civilization, but especially the ball python business. And we like to just pay that forward. So if we could put our message right there into words, in a couple words, that's what it would be.
Real quick, everybody in the chat, y'all go follow Mazzotta Morris on all the Instagram, Facebook. Go follow them. That's the most wholesome answer I've ever heard in my life. I wanted to be around youth. And he just said that they have given snakes to kids. They don't care if it's multi-genes or not. That's the most wholesome. Look at this. That's super cool. That's the most wholesome answer I've ever heard in my life. I love it, man.
That's the truth. I mean, we did a giveaway 2 years ago, and we were going to give away 2 snakes, a gravel male or female and a yellow belly male or female. We weren't sure which was which, but one of each. And we called it the Highway to 2021. That was our giveaway. That was our slogan, Highway to 2021. And there was a gentleman that hit us up on Instagram and said, when are you going to do the giveaway? When are you doing the giveaway? And we had it all posted, but he was excited. His daughter was asking him, was nagging him and said, I really want a snake. When are they doing? When are they doing? He asked me like 2 or 3 times. So I sent him a message, and I said, listen, I said, in the event your daughter doesn't get pulled, we'll ship her a snake. So we did the giveaway, and it ended up being a couple, some kids that got it. They were between Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania on that corner. And we drove out to Pittsburgh and handed it to him. Then I contacted that gentleman and I said, we're going to ship you a snake. Let me have your address. And we shipped his daughter a snake.
I love that. I love that. I love y'all. I love you guys' motto. I love it. But I still want to give you a motto for myself, because it just came to me, and it just came to me, and it's brilliant. It just came to me. It's brilliant. Okay, y'all are a business, and y'all remind me of like the mob, the mafia. Y'all are very close knit. So I'm gonna give you y'all motto.
Yeah.
So if anybody ever asks you what is Mazzotta Morris' motto, you tell them, we're gonna make you an offer you can't refuse.
I like that.
I love it. I love it, man. I love it. That is awesome. That is awesome. Just a close-knit family. I'm glad you guys are here. This is fun. Now, like I said, I like the people to be able to come here, have fun, and learn. Now, give us, what has worked best for Mazzotta Morphs. And what I mean is your season. What is the best start time and end time? Or do you just breed year-round?
I mean, we breed year-round. And once again, I'm gonna say, the ultrasound. Because then because there is a season, there is a breeding season. There are animals, there's barometric pressure, there's all that jazz. But I mean, you always have your odd ones. It doesn't matter what wildlife you're dealing with, you always have your odd ones. We're fortunate enough to have girls that have follicles. They rotate. It's all year for us. I mean, we don't shut our incubator down. We're not pushing out 200 clutches or anything, but I mean, we always have 1 or 2 clutches in the incubator.
Okay. I love that. Year round. That's what works. If you're trying to follow in their footsteps, check them out. They're just awesome team. Incubator. Now give me your take. Store-bought or homemade? What you going with?
I mean, I started with homemade and I'm still running homemade. So
you know what? If I was to get into breeding, I would probably do homemade too. But the only thing is I'm scared if you didn't wire something right.
I'm pretty handy. I've been in construction for years. That's what I've done. That's my wheelhouse. So I'm pretty handy. You know what I mean? So it was nothing to throw an incubator together. I was pretty. They're very simple. There isn't too many, components to an incubator. We have a wine cooler, a huge. It was 5 foot high. It's pretty wide wine cooler that we converted, and it's just nonstop.
Very smart guys, business minded. Save a couple bucks if you're able to make an incubator. Do it. It'll, if it works, it works. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Now, give me so far. So you've been breeding a couple years. I want to talk about morph market. I think it's a beneficial thing, especially if you're a breeder. How has you guys' experience been on morph market? Do you do good on morph market, bad on morph market, or just kind of in the middle?
I have nothing negative to say about Morph Market whatsoever. I think it's a great tool. It's a great avenue. It's a great outlet to sell your snakes. You can track feedback on there, positive, negative, buyers, sellers. We check Morph Market multiple times a day, all of us. And we're always sending group chats between, everybody. Saw this snake, this popped up. It gives us something to talk about. It keeps you in the loop on who's making what. It gives you, places to aim, you know what I mean? Because you could be shooting for something and somebody makes it and we're like, all right, now we got to shift gears. We got to shake it up a little bit, so.
I love what you just said. You said, hey, you can use Morph Market to spy on people, to see what they're making, to see if you want to steal some ideas. Like, oh, they made that. I'm gonna try that. I like that. You're very smart. I like that.
I mean, now, we're always chasing. You're always chasing.
Now, I want you to talk about some misconceptions. A lot of people think, oh, if you just get a couple snakes, you could throw them together and you could make just a crap ton of money. So I want, you've been breeding so long. I want you to talk about what's some of the misconceptions when it comes to being ball python breeders that you could clear up for us, that you just be like, you know what, that's not true.
Well, I think a big misconception people have, and maybe still have to this day, is that it's just a hobby or it's just something that people can do. But in reality, like what I want to, if there's any kids watching this or people in school or anybody interested in furthering their education, is that there is so much knowledge to be unearthed by these ball pythons. There's research all across the world about the DNA that actually makes these genetic mutations and all there is to it. Like there's so much to explore. And I don't know, I think that's a big misconception, is that the only genes you see are the genes that are pastel or clown or hypo. But in reality, every single component in these snakes is dictated by genes. Earlier, we were talking about how we could line breed ball pythons to provide bigger babies or bigger eggs, or maybe just have healthier eggs, whatever it may be. That is inherently a genetic characteristic. But a lot of people will glance over that because the idea of genes is just what you see in the snake. But there's so much more beyond that. And that is what we try to bring out of our animals through feeding high quality food in a high quality environment with the best husbandry we can offer. then we can pick the cream of the crop for the babies, breed them back, and we can produce high quality ball pythons, having both their visual and hidden genetic health in mind.
All right, right. I definitely agree with you. I agree, man. Y'all just father-son duo just has so much knowledge. We just appreciate you being here. Now I got to ask this. You both are JKR followers. So my question is, how excited are you guys for Klitsch? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but
I mean, I personally, I mean, I think it's going to be great for a lot of people. I don't necessarily think it's a tool that we're going to utilize. I mean, I'm not saying we wouldn't, but what we're doing works. So a lot of people, as you get older, change is tough. So if you're used to something, if you're in a rhythm, you roll with what you have. I mean, a lot of people are going to utilize it. I'm sure it's going to be great for them. But I mean, we'll see.
I'm excited for the rollout. I agree. I think it's going to be great for us. I love what you guys are doing too, though. If what you're doing works, you don't change it. I definitely agree. Now I got to ask: have you sold a lot of snakes? Have you ever had seller's remorse? Have you ever just been like, shit, I wish I wouldn't have sold that?
I mean, I guess right off the bat, there were several snakes I had seller's remorse. But at the end of the day, I think, like I said, we do everything collectively. We talk about it. You know what I mean? So if it's we all agree, then it's good for the business. It doesn't matter how it shakes down. But yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I love it, man. We almost gave us an amazing hour. I got one more question, and then we're going to tell everybody to follow your Instagram, all of that, everything to check out your Morph Market. Now, it was an amazing, almost an amazing hour. We learned about you. I hope that people can take away a lot of the tips that you gave them. Now, before we leave, I'm a big wrestling fan. Everybody has their own interest music when they come into a room. The Rock, you hear his music, if you smell what the Rock is cooking, it's the Rock coming out. Stone Cold, he has the glass breaking, it's Stone Cold coming out. So my question is, Mazzotta Morphs, when you guys enter a Reptile Expo, what is the theme song playing when you guys come through the door?
Well, I mean, there's so many good Iron Maiden songs, right? But I think if there has to be one Iron Maiden song to end them all for our business, right? I mean, it would have to be. I would probably just have to say "Hallowed Be Thy Name." Yeah.
Iron Maiden, "Hallowed Be Thy Name."
We walk out and have these pile of snakes and deli cups. I mean, I couldn't imagine the people's faces, right? That's our dream. We'll do that next time. Yeah.
Next time I have you on my podcast, I'm gonna play that song when I bring you to
the.
Yeah, I love it, man. Again, family combo. They are killing it. Y'all go check them out on Instagram. There's a reason that Jessica Belka is shouting them out. They have firepower over there. I love it. I can't wait for the up and coming year and just to see all of these amazing animals that they are producing. Yeah, make sure y'all go check out their Instagram. Everybody that showed up, I appreciate you guys. We had upwards of 30 plus people in here. Of course, it's going to continue to get views. But like I said, you had upwards of 30 plus in here. Just checking you out, seeing what you was about. Just an amazing podcast. We learned so much and we had fun. Before we end, I want you to say, do you have anything you want to say before we get out of here? It was an amazing hour too. I hope that we can get around to in the future and just actually see some of the snakes that you guys are producing. And before we leave, do you have anything you guys want to say?
Yeah, I'll go first. I just want to just say thanks for everything. Thanks for reaching out to us. Really appreciate you having us on your show. It's been a good time. I hope we get together and collaborate again. I'm excited for the future too. When that big clutch drops, we'll make sure we reach out to you.
I definitely want you on YouTube's. What was your name again?
Vinny.
No, I know Vinny. Vinny.
Luciano.
Yeah.
Luciano. I definitely want both Mr. Vinny, Mr. Luciano. We definitely got to get around too, because like I said, your Instagram has so much firepower. I don't want you to leave. I want to go backstage and thank you again. So before we leave, you guys, everybody in the chat that showed up, I appreciate you. Until next time, this is Big Reptile Talk, and we out of here.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere yet, okay?
Whoa.